This is a true infringement on the right to speak, the right to assemble, and the right to grieve government.
And that is anti-government activist and former candidate for governor Ammon Bundy. I think we need an acronym for that. Can't think of it. But anyway, that is Ammon Bundy describing his current legal situation with St. Luke's in, well, 5 seconds. However, what he's actually describing is what is guaranteed by the First Amendment and protects those rights of the people from being abridged by the government. And that's not what this actually is. This is or was a civil lawsuit about defamation, which St. Luke's won and was awarded $52.5 million by a jury. A civil court case which Bundy did not participate at all, which he also has the right to do. Well, today, a day after another no-show in Gem County for a separate lawsuit, Bundy was in court to face his civil contempt charge for violating a court order to stop the harassment and intimidation of witnesses involved in that earlier original lawsuit. An arrest warrant was issued back in April by District Judge Lynn Norton, which was finally served almost 3 weeks ago in Emmett. Well, today, in front of Judge Nancy Baskin, Bundy refused to respond to any of the claims against him. He did, however, ask a lot of questions of the judge since he was there without an attorney to represent him. Bottom line, another court date has been set for October 2nd for a court trial concerning Bundy's contempt charge. But being down there today, we wanted to ask him about what was posted by his friends and colleagues with the People's Rights Network, the far-right anti-government group started by Bundy. Last night, the group sent out a text message to its members, a call to action, they call it. We're gathering at Holland & Hart, that's the law firm representing St. Luke's, to protest the agency infringing their First Amendment right, which isn't a thing. Then at the Ada County Courthouse, they wanted everybody to show up and show support for Bundy. Then there was another message sent out last night, one that showed flyers with Judge Norton's picture on them. They plan to distribute these flyers in the judge's neighborhood. How do we know this? Well, because that message was accompanied by another message, another call to action for people to show up in the judge's neighborhood this evening from about now till about 6:30. That exact address will be provided later, they were told. An event. They called this an event. An event allegedly planned, or at least promoted by, the same man who was arrested and found guilty of disturbing the peace outside an Ada County commissioner's house in December of 2020. The man who supposedly sent out those messages, he was one of these people.
I think what Diana needs is a little more horn.
So it was my 12-year-old and my 8-year-old huddled together in my son's room.
You guys, sometimes I admit I feel a little bit aggressive and pissed off.
Okay, so that's just a little sample of what lasted at least 15 minutes in front of Diana Lacchiondo's house back in 2020. So does Bundy approve of this doxing and this kind of behavior in front of somebody's house, even if they are an elected official? I asked him that today after I showed him this flyer.
Well, this is the first time I've ever seen it. I had no idea. This is the very first time I've ever seen it.
That kind of stuff happens often.
Well, that's their right, though. And then if
someone show up at a judge's house or a detective's house or
yes, absolutely, it is their right. It is a protected right as long as they don't go on their private property, as long as they don't threaten or intimidate them. They're officers of the government, and as long as they're on public property, they have a right to protest them. It's called grievance.
And you don't have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that. I think it needs to be done in a, they cannot go on their property. They should not intimidate them. They should not threaten them. But they should absolutely know that the people are concerned. That's what's called grievance.
At their house?
Yeah, at their house.
So he's okay with it. Bundy contends he's never intimidated anybody, as you heard. Never threatened anybody either, he says. He's merely mentioned people's names who might be potential witnesses. Well, a jury has already decided he has done those things and decided the damages for that. He and his People's Rights Network and his friend, Diego Rodriguez, what they did, the damage they did to the hospital and its staff, well, it amounted to $52.5 million. Last Friday, Judge Baskin issued a permanent injunction ordering Bundy and Rodriguez and the groups they represent to remove the defamatory statements from their websites related to St. Luke's and their employees. Anything referring to them as, quote, criminals or alleging abuse or kidnapping, that all has to be gone. And failure to do so, well, that could result in another contempt charge. Bundy's current contempt trial, scheduled for October 2nd. Bundy told us today, wasn't sure if he's going to hire an attorney or if he will even show up.